Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You can see we're in the garage with the Sierra work truck again. It's about 10,000 kilometers I put on this truck since we finished all that body work on it, and so far I don't have any major issues with that other than some sanding that should have gotten done but never did, but that's fine. What we're looking at today, I was driving down the road a couple days ago and all of a sudden the truck was just like wobbly all over the place, just super crazy, and I was like, holy smoke, we're gonna lose her. So anyway, I got underneath the truck and I realized that tie rod ends is where I was at. We're gonna swap in some tie rods tonight. I have the Pitman arm and the idler arm, of course, which is important stuff to have if you're doing this kind of repair on a vehicle. Drag link, everything wears out, best to replace it all. Fortunately, I don't have my idler arm puller with me. It's out at our farm, so just gonna be the tie rods tonight, I think. Hopefully in the next few days I'll swap in the idler arm and the Pitman arm. For the moment, that's kind of where we're at. It was really interesting. I didn't realize, I should say, I've never had a tire wear out so noticeably so fast. All of a sudden, after I was feeling the wobbly all over the place with the truck, the inside of the driver's side tire started to wear out. So I'm like, had a look underneath and I heard a clicking, popping sound, like definitely tie rod. So anyway, we got to swap those in. I'm going to show you how to do that and hopefully it's a help for you. Okay, so what you're going to need is you're going to need inner and outer side tie rods ends. And then what I get, just because it's not worth, like these are 10 or 20 bucks depending where you get them. Get a tie rod sleeve that joins the inner and the outer tie rod together. Usually if you ever get the bolts undone or whatever on the old one, it's just frustration. So these are cheap. Benefit is if you order all new stuff, you can pull out the old stuff, measure it up, size it up with the old stuff against the new stuff. And then, you know, on the way to the alignment shop, it's not quite as scary to drive around. So I always get those, inner outer tie rods, and the idler arm and the Pitman arm are also important. So those are the things we're going to need. And the bolt it, take it apart. Most of the stuff you've probably got in your garage, you can do yourself. It's quite simple as far as that goes. If you're doing this job yourself, something I would highly recommend, especially on these older GM trucks, the steering wheel locks just as a security measure. So if you can get your steering wheel, it's hard to tell on the camera, but it's straight on, and you take the key out and you turn the steering wheel just like a, I don't know, 1/8 of a turn, it'll click and it'll lock. And what that'll do is it'll hold your steering wheel in place, so you know where that needs to be. Not all of the GM vehicles do that. I know they kind of had a bit of a lapse in judgment and took away that security feature. So there's some vehicles in later 2000s that don't have that. And if yours does, if you know that it locks, that's a mechanism built into the steering column, so make sure to make use of that. Lock it up. Hopefully you can avoid having a crooked steering wheel or keeping everything out of whack. Okay, so the first step's obviously removing the wheel. And if you're not comfortable doing that, I would recommend you not continue in the repair, but I wanted to show you my jack trick there because I don't have an impact right now. But once you've completed that and removed the wheel, the next step will be to remove the lock nuts for the tie rod. So there's the outer tie rod we're working on right now, very violently. And then we need to remove the inner tie rod, which I used, careful there, dude. Inner tie rod, I used 2 wrenches twisted together to get it to break loose just because I needed the extra leverage. And then we're just removing the inner lock nut. Once you remove the nuts, the next piece is to break loose the tie rod itself. I'm just using a hammer to break it loose. Just a word of caution, if you want to save any of the threads on the tie rod, you'll want to be a little bit more cautious than I'm being right now. I've also got a ball joint fork here that I'm using to get the inner tie rod busted loose, and there comes the assembly. Okay guys, so that's it. Nothing too difficult. Biggest thing is to make sure that you do a kind of a half decent at least measurement of how long your old tie rod is compared to the new one. But that's also why I like to get that sleeve, just so that, I mean, you could probably take this apart and it probably would still work if you got some new bolts, but if you get the sleeve and then you've got a template from the old one to use, and if something really went wrong, you probably could stick this back in there and get it down to the shop or whatever. So okay, on the reassembly piece, first off, when we got the old tie rod out, I'm just doing a quick measurement to see how long it is originally, and Bringing in the new parts here. First step will be to assemble the inner and outer tie rods into the sleeve itself. So it's important to note that the one is reverse thread, so one spins clockwise and the other one spins counterclockwise. I've just done a quick comparison to see where it is alongside the original tie rod. I'll do my measurement to compare it to the original tie rod here. Double check. A little bit of an adjustment. One more time. Looks like we're good. We're going to tighten down the sleeve. Don't forget to put the grease nipple in there. And then reassemble the new tie rod in the truck. Install the inner tie rod first, put the nut in, install the outer tie rod, and then put the nut on there. Tighten both of those nuts down. And ensure that your sleeve bolt and nut are tightened up. There's two of them in there on this particular unit, so make sure those are tightened. And then don't forget to install your cotter pins. There will be one on both the outside tie rod end and the inner tie rod end. They are Castle nuts, so they both require a cotter pin. Then we just reinstall the wheel. Install lug nuts, tighten lug nuts, torque the lug nuts, and you should be ready to try a test drive. Hit the road again. If you want to go see what the right side looked like, you can go check me on TikTok. I do some other fun things there too. But yeah, so that's kind of the simplicity of it. Next step would be to definitely do the pitman arm and the idler arm. I know it's kind of not great practice to do part of it, but I need the truck to drive. So the other thing that I didn't do here tonight, and hopefully I get another clip, is I left my grease gun back at the farm, as I mentioned, so I don't have any grease on here. But all of these joints, the tie rod ends and the pitman arm olives, they come, I don't know if there's any grease in them. It's very little. Part of the reason it is so you can get the bolts all tightened up before you pump grease into it, otherwise they just spin on you. So it's important to remember that you got to grease this thing, or it's probably going to last about 50 miles and you'll be vibrating and probably breaking parts again. So that wouldn't be any fun. But I feel like the one wheel's sticking too far out here, but we'll get it on the road and find out and see how it looks. Maybe try and take it for a wheel alignment if somebody will do that for me. Sometimes I get fussy on old trucks and they don't want to do wheel lines. I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoy this. If you like this kind of content, if you like the how-to stuff versus just me wandering around vlogging style, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Was this helpful to you? Did it save you a couple of bucks on your project by being able to do this on yourself? I know for a lot of people it's sometimes just about keeping the old farm truck going, or you're not really using it, you just want to make sure it's sort of safe if you're out on the highway a little bit. Cheap little fixes like this keep things going, keeps everybody feeling safe even if you just take short trips with it. So hope you guys are having a great week, a great day, and yeah, take care.